Thank you for participating in our week of prayer. You know, we look to this week as being very critical for the ministry effectiveness of Assemblies of God. It's not a denominational obligation to earmark a few days at the beginning of the year to prayer, but we sincerely and truly believe that as we mobilize the church for prayer, then things will happen that otherwise wouldn't happen. Joe, thank you for taking point on this and for leading us and preparing our people for this. How are you seeing prayer tied to church health and church effectiveness?
Yeah, you know, Pastor Doug, when we're in the prayer room several weeks back praying over the world, I just thought, 400,000 plus churches around the world. It didn't come from someone that was really articulate. It didn't come from an evangelist. It didn't come from the greatest that we think of in terms of education. Our embryonic conception came in Bonnie Brae Street by an African-American man during segregation and Jim Crow, everything stacked against him. Our movement was birthed out of an intercessor.
Yeah.
And I think church effectiveness and church growth, prayer is not like sugar in our tea, it's the tea.
Yeah.
And for us to come back to that place that birthed our movement and to give ourselves to that place, I think in that thought, our greatest days are ahead of us.
Sure. And I want to appreciate and thank you for the intentionality that you've put into these 5 times that the church will gather together and pray. You see, we want to not only just call you to prayer, we want to give you some resources to equip your people to pray more effectively. So as you enter into this strategic, intentional time of prayer, Joe, what can they expect? What are some of the topics and what do we believe are some of the desired outcomes?
Yeah, that's really good. So one of them is going to be with Dr. John Easter. He's really going to be talking about the importance of prayer tied to evangelism. Dr. Carolyn Tennant, one of our experts in the history of revival in our movement, is going to be talking about how prayer has ignited revival and awakening over and over and over again. We're going to be talking to Pastor Daryl Bucher out of Ohio on how fasting and prayer combined together really produces fruit. Dr. Mike Rakes from Evangel, he's going to be talking about how prayer and the gifts of the Spirit and the prophetic work together. So we're going to have a wide range of not just teaching about prayer, but setting up God moments where after the teaching is over, we have a time of prayer, and whether a church is watching it, a small group, someone in their house, it's going to go to a moment to where God comes and then they begin to press into prayer over that subject. So we're really looking forward to the teaching that really gives an atmosphere to pray right where they're at.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to thank you, pastor, church leader, congregant, for joining us on this journey of prayer for these 5 days. But more than that, taking from this a pattern and a habit for encouraging yourself and your people to pray. You know, Scripture's pretty clear that the effectual, fervent prayer of righteous people avails much. We cannot see the availing much without effectual, fervent prayer. So thank you for joining your Assemblies of God family here and around the world on this great journey of prayer.